Hello, everybody, and welcome back for the second block of our 12-hour stream. We are here with a game that I am also completely new to, like the last one, called Fall of Magic, which I originally thought was some kinds of D&D stuff. Someone has their audio on. That would be... let me see, do that. That's all right. It definitely wasn't anybody. We are here for a new game, like I said, called Fall of Magic, which we're going to learn about today. It was just recently kickstarted and hugely successful, and Nox is going to tell us all about this game. But first, I'll remind you guys that this is a charity stream. You guys can interact with the game. It's going to be slightly different how that works for this game, but I'm going to throw it at Nox, and she'll figure out how to apply that to the game. So that's all on her. So just shower her with money, and everything will be fine. Guys, hit that retweet button. Get all your friends in here. Let them know what you're doing, and join that City of Mist giveaway. So let's jump around to our cast and crew. We'll start with one of our lovely community members, Amandageddon. Amanda, who are you? Where can you be found on the internet? And I guess we're not really playing characters today. So yeah, who are you? Where can we find you?
Hi, I'm Amanda. This is actually my first time doing any sort of stream at all. And so, yeah. I apologize if I end up shooting anybody in the back.
That's fine. We probably deserved it.
You can find me on the Twitters at Amandageddon. And yeah, that's pretty much my handle everywhere.
Sweet. We'll jump over to Mike. Mike, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm actually a little bit of a cipher like Amanda. This is my first online public stream ever. I spent a lot of time in the Numenera space with Monte Cook Game Systems, but it's all been local and private stream. So I'm for this moment a ghost in the wind, if you will.
Nice. I am a huge fan of the Numenera cyber systems. I'm actually running a campaign right now, and it's awesome. I love that system. And last but definitely not least, we'll jump over to Nox. Nox, who are you? Where can we find you? And tell us about the Fall of Magic.
So I go by Nox on the internet. You can find me on Twitter as Noxnoctua. I elbow my way into however many online role-playing games I can. And I'm getting ready to start my own actual game that I'm running on the internet. So I'm super excited about that. So thanks, unMade, for hosting this. I'm super excited to share this game. It's awesome. Doesn't have enough exposure, I think.
I saw it while Googling for images and what the hell this game was. I think Eric Vulgaris ran it on his, I think it's Once Upon a Stream or Once Upon a something. But he definitely ran it on his because I noticed the map immediately and I was like, oh, that does look dope. I'm excited to learn about this game.
Awesome. Okay, so let's jump right in. We'll basically learn how the game is played as we're playing it. And I'm going to put some background music on real quick. And hopefully it's not too loud. Let's see. Oh gosh, hit play. I don't know if anybody can hear that, but that's fine. So in Fall of Magic, magic is dying, and the Magus is dying with it. So we are all traveling together to the realm of Umbra, where magic was born. And as a heads up to set some expectations, we're probably not going to finish this game. So be prepared for some unresolved endings. So this is a collaborative storytelling game. We're going to play a group of travelers in the company of the Magus. On the way, we'll encounter all manner of people and places and experiences like you would expect in any role-playing game. The great thing about Fall of Magic is it's GM-less. So we all get to play and equally participate in the collaborative element of it. So you guys can see on stream the map here. This game actually comes in a physical and digital version. If you buy the physical version, it's an actual scroll that you unwind as you move through the map, and you wind up as you basically just move along with it. So you can see the scroll on stream. The first thing we're going to do is each of us is going to pick a name from the options on the map on the far left side. And every person should have in your notebook on Roll20. For those of you that haven't used Roll20, it's the third icon to the right. You'll see your name and little like note cards. Those should be editable by you all. In a physical copy, you just have like a regular note card, but we're going to do this all digital.
Cool.
So what you'll do is on your note card, you'll put your name and your title when you pick it, and there's additional elements that we'll add to that note card as we go through the game, but that's it. There's no stats. There's really no dice rolling. So, unMade, why don't you go first? Pick your name and title.
Sure. I will
Actually, pick your name first, sorry.
Yeah. I will be Caspian.
Nice. Amandageddon?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Amandageddon?
I will go with River.
Nice. And Mike?
I am Nicholas, Lord of Umbridge.
Oh, you pick your title after this.
Oh.
So you said, wait, who are you? Oh, and you picked from the list here.
So I...
Should be in Roll20 on the left side of the map, right below Fall of Magic.
Yeah, far left.
I'm scrolling, but I don't see it. However, I'm very happy for anyone to pick my name. It's better later.
So your options are Harp, Kabu, Elamuro, Justice, Vago, Fawn, or Piccolo.
Piccolo.
Awesome. Okay. And I'm just editing these as everybody goes, because we're going to put them on tokens. What did you say, Piccolo? Is that what you picked? Yes,
Yeah.
I see you put it in. Oh, everybody has their names in Zoom. That's funny. Okay, who am I going to be? I want to be Harp. All right, cool. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit less nervous. I was super nervous when we started. Everybody.
You'll be fine.
Everybody out there in Streamland. Okay, great. So, River, why don't you go ahead and pick your title from the options listed under the map. They're listed under the names. Yeah, it'll be a combination of the title, the like adjective or whatever, and the place.
I think I'm going to try Scholar of Estalia.
Cool. River. Scholar of Estalia. And actually, you know what might help with this? If you guys just want to edit your own, I think that'll speed things up a bit. I just edited yours, River, so I'll let everybody else just do their own. Caspian.
I'm going to do the Raven of Ravenhall.
Cool. And Mike. Do you see where those bottom far left of the map?
Oh, now I do. It's on the scroll itself. I was
Yeah.
I was entirely too meta. I would love to be the fugitive Stormguard.
Ooh, that's cool. Okay. So I changed a little bit and I reviewed the scroll and stuff just to make sure I remembered how to play the game. And I already decided what I want to be. So nobody picked it. Yay! I want to be the hero of Barleytown.
Sweet.
So Harp, the hero of Barleytown. The edit my up card. Hero of Barleytown. I think it's all one word. Right. And edit the like character thing in Roll22 because that's what I'm gonna put the tokens on. Okay, last but not least, before we actually jump into playing, is if you look above the map, top left-hand corner, you'll see tokens, and these actually represent physical tokens that come with the physical version. So what we're seeing is the fronts, I believe, are on the bottom, and well, I guess it doesn't matter. It's one side's on the bottom, one side's on the top. So you'll pick a token. Let me actually move the token layer. You'll pick a token, and then I'll put it on your person, and that's your little piece that you're going to control and move around the map. So let's see. Piccolo, why don't you go first? Pick your token.
As a fugitive, I suppose I'm drawn to the broken sword.
Cool. All right. Let's make this your token. And I unfortunately have to do this part. Okay. Mike, you should be able to move that token. Does it let you?
No, and it
No,
has
because
Jordan on it.
Yep, because I messed that up.
I don't think that it does.
There we go. Perfect. Awesome. River.
I actually, as a scholar, I'm thinking the candle would probably be best.
The one that's still there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. River. Okay, you should be able to control that now. Caspian.
I'm going to be super stereotypical and go with the Raven.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess everybody can move it. Actually, it says it's controlled by all players. Let's change that real quick. Caspian. There we go. There we go. Perfect. And who is Harp, the hero of Barleytown? Oh shoot. Can I curse?
Yeah.
I didn't ask. Okay, good.
Yeah, we're not family friendly. You're fine.
Okay. There was one time Grant had us on a mouse guard stream. His kids were watching, and oh man, that was hard. What's the hero of Barleytown? Shit. Okay, we'll do that one. I don't know why, but it's. Okay, great. Now we need to pick a token for the Magus. So what do we think is a good Magus token? The Magus is completely... We have no information about the Magus. We'll discover that through play.
Kind of like the mystery of the egg.
Yeah.
Ooh. I dig that. That's cool.
That's kind of cool, too. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do it. This one is controllable by everybody. Should be controllable by everybody. All right. So, let's see. I think I can make that small. Okay, so we're going to move all of our tokens onto Ravenhall, which is our starting location. So you'll notice that we have the name of the place, Ravenhall. You'll see some other ones adjacent to it, and a little illustration. Around the location are other titles in red. Those are places, and underneath those little like sentence starters are story prompts. So the way that this works is we will go in whatever order that we want until we're done with the location, and we'll move our person to one of these spots, and we'll use that location and the story prompt to create a scene basically for our character. The Rose Gardens, you'll notice, has like little cross-like symbols. Those are traits. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure I'm not confusing traits with something else. Yeah, those are traits. So when you go to the Rose Gardens, you'll describe the Rose Gardens, and then you'll give one of those traits to either your own character or another person's character. So, for example, your person could go to the Rose Gardens, smell a flower, and then somebody walks out from between the bushes wearing this beautiful gold armor, and maybe it's Caspian. And it's Caspian, the legendary Raven of Ravenhall, and boom, Caspian gets the trait of legendary. And you would add that to your note card. Not suggesting that's what you do, but like that's how that works. So you can give it to yourself or to somebody else. Anyone can control the Magus at any time. So you can choose to move that person to the Magus to a place, create a scene for them, add details. In your scenes, you can bring in other players, or feel free to volunteer yourself. Like, oh, I see that you're talking to a merchant person. I'll play the merchant or whatever. I'll try and help facilitate that a little bit. I think that covers the basics. So Caspian, I'm gonna put you. Well, shit, no, it's not. It's who wants to go first. I don't pick. I'm not the GM. It's whoever wants to go first. Move your token there, and then give us a scene with your.
I'll go. We start at Ravenhall and we go to any one of the ones next to it.
Yeah. So the bridge, the menagerie, Rose Gardens, and the scrying pool.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go to the scrying pool.
Okay. I can't see the prompt. Move your guy.
Yeah, I'll move it. I'll move that. I thought about that as soon as I was like, bloop.
I was like, shit, I already forgot what it said.
Yeah, so the prompt is why you serve the Magus.
Mm-hmm, and you're at the scrying pool.
Yeah. So this is basically the way that these prompts kind of work is like I kind of have a scene describing why I serve the Magus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
And your role. This is like a role-playing storytelling game. So,
yeah.
You know, first person, third person, whatever way floats your boat.
Cool. We do something similar on a different show that we have on this channel. So you would see the scrying pool is a clearing in the forest, and there are like hexagonal stones embedded in the ground that sort of make a footpath towards this almost obsidian black set of like a pyramid, but the step pyramids. And then in the center of it, there is a hexagonal pool that deep it goes unfathomably deep, or so it looks, because of the dark stone. You can't really see the depth in this. And around it, there are runes and sigils and things carved inside of this. And at first, Caspian kind of walks over and he wipes the detritus off of this font of magic, so to speak, and he clears away like the fallen tree nettles and that kind of thing. And as he sort of settles on top of this and runs his hand through the water, you see it like ripple out, and each ripple almost forms in the circle, in the center circle spreading out as it like wavers. You can see that it forms almost a screen of moments in Caspian's life. And the first one you see is him arriving to Ravenhall, and he's far younger, and he's in tattered clothes, and he has a single book, which can't be really seen, as he kind of walks up here, bedraggled and having journeyed from far away. And the next one that ripples out is you see the character that is the Magus kind of standing over him, and he opens the book that he brought, and it's in a language that Caspian can't read, and he sort of shows it to him. And then the next one is the Magus instructing him in the ways of magic. And the reason Caspian serves him is because he believes in magic and believes that he can help restore it, and wants to learn from the greatest mage in the land.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
Sweet.
So it sounds like we know some more details about the Magus. The Magus is a guy.
Yep.
All right. I'm just going to put that on there. Not that I think we can all remember that, but why the hell not? Cool. That's awesome. Okay, yeah. Anyone else that wants to go, feel free to pick a spot, move your person there. I can also, again, pick the Magus, but I would encourage us all to maybe do a round with our characters before we do the Magus, at least for while we're in Ravenhall.
So I can go.
Great.
So Piccolo furtively watches Caspian's bold actions and draws.
Is Piccolo going? Where's Piccolo going?
He follows Caspian to the scrying pool.
Okay.
Because he's a broken man who's lost everything that he was, and so he's trying to basically start over, and so he latches on to the strength that Caspian exhibits, follows him to the scrying pool, sees the sort of the satisfaction that Caspian sees as he sort of sees the pages shown to him in the scrying pool, and decides I would like to feel the way he feels, and so he sort of scampers up to it and tentatively touches the ripple, but perhaps due to his own guilt, perhaps due to just a sense of propriety from the scrying pool. He sees very little of his past. He sees he sees himself running through the darkness from a building that appears to be on fire, and he can feel his own fear baking off of him even through the pool. And then the ripples come in and come out, and he actually sees himself at the scrying pool looking for answers that he knows he doesn't deserve to see. And somewhat defeated, he steps away from the pool because he doesn't think that there's anything else there. And the only thing that he really feels is this emptiness that he hopes that following the Magus can fill.
That's cool. At the end of your turn, pass it on to someone. I think that'll help the transition a little better.
So I pass to River.
I think River's going to be actually at the bridge. River's always been kind of, even though she's a scholar and she's been with her books, she's always been kind of fanciful, and she'll let her mind wander sometimes. So the bridge at Ravenhall is a favorite place of hers. She will hang out there and just like stare into the water. She doesn't always focus on her own reflection. She will watch, how the life around her is reflected in the water. But right now she's kind of looking at herself, just thinking, she's got long hair that's always pulled back. It's a dark brown, brown eyes. She's just kind of hanging out at the bridge, wondering again why she's here, but she's here. So, yeah.
Nice, I dig it. I believe that leaves you, Nox. You're muted. It's okay, though. You're muted in Zoom.
Harp goes to the menagerie. I forget what a menagerie is.
It's like a zoo.
Yes.
Okay, it's a zoo?
Yeah, it's a menagerie. Is like a collection of animals.
Oh, right, glass menagerie. So Harp heads to the zoo, the Ravenhall Menagerie, and she's walking through the kind of, like the pens that all the different animals are in, and her shoes. She wears like regular flat shoes, not like a heel, just hard-soled enough where she's not going to feel twigs and rocks under her boot as she walks, over unpaved pathways. So she has soft footfalls, and she has her arms behind her back and this sort of like contemplative look on her face, as she's looking at all the different animals, some of which remind her of home, and her brow is slightly furrowed. And she remembers back to the last time that she saw real magic was in Barleytown. She has this sort of like flashback to being in one of the large fields that surrounds Barleytown, where like a lot of like farmers and stuff have their crops, or animals have their animals. Farmers have their animals. Herders have their animals. She has this like flashback of a memory to being out there and this explosion of magic and then bodies scattered across the fields and blood everywhere. She blinks and shakes her head and swallows really hard, takes a deep breath, and kind of preparation of this journey she is going to take on with the Magus and the rest of everybody else.
Dope.
So everyone's done a spot. We can, if there's anywhere else you want to visit in Ravenhall, we can. Or does anyone want to move the Magus to a spot in Ravenhall?
Yeah, I'm gonna move the Magus to the Rose Gardens.
Okay.
So the Magus understands that there is a journey to be had, right? And as said by Caspian, he's one of the greatest mages in the land, right? He's one of the last proprietors of magic. So he walks through his Rose Gardens pensively before this journey, and they are massive and labyrinthian rose gardens. And as he walks by, he kind of picks the first one and gives it and then puts it inside of like a spot, like with a button hook on his robe, and begins to walk. And you'll see as he begins walking away that where he plucked that flower from, where it breaks the stem, more stems begin to spiral out of it as the magic imbues into that. And he just sort of walks away. And you see it happen almost instinctively behind him as like the bushes kind of flourish and grow, and he'll stop by and lean in for another one, and then he places it back and that one changes to a different color. But as he is doing this, the further he gets, and the more like memories he's imparting into this place, as he knows he's leaving on a journey that he doesn't know if he comes back from or how it ends. The magic slowly starts to fade. You'll see he'll reach and touch a flower and it will start to change, but it won't fully change. Or he'll pick another one, or he'll go clear away some shrubs and new flowers won't spring forward. And you see his face get more pensive and frustrated as he becomes more resolute in the fact that he has to go on this journey. And I'll give him the tag of fierce.
Awesome.
He is fierce in his determination.
All right, I added that to the Magus's little character sheet thingamajigger. Awesome. Does anyone else want to visit anywhere? Or are we ready to travel on through the Oak Hills?
I'm good at travel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'll travel together. So if that's what we've decided, then we'll do that. Okay, so let's all move our little peeps to the Oak Hills and the ending of summer. Piccolo, I'm going to help you out and move you, dude. Oh, nope, you got him. Okay, so the places that we have here are Harper's Road, At Dawn by Firelight. And I believe the Oak Hills, the ending of summer, is also a place you can visit and a story prompt.
Okay, cool.
I feel like there is a bit in here about traveling, but I actually can't remember what it is, which is... Oh, here we go. Wait. Da-da-da. Okay, right, yeah. So for traveling between locations when we're all ready to move, we'll move the Magus to the next spot, and then, one or all of us, whoever, just kind of like what we've been doing, will describe the experience of traveling with the Magus. So the prompt is, either the Oak Hills, the ending of summer, or, kind of whatever. It's the location and the prompt underneath. I'm going to go ahead and take the Magus. I'm just going to move some of these guys around. Sorry. Boop. So this we're describing from the perspective of the Magus. The Magus leads the group on horseback. We all have horses that we obtained from Ravenhall for the journey, rather. And summer is coming to a close. So as we travel from Ravenhall, which is situated on like a hill, and we start to move into these rolling foothills below, you can see as some of the trees off in the distance have changed, or starting to change color from, vibrant summertime green to the, oranges and reds that fall bring, but just barely, like just on the edges of the leaves and kind of sprinkled throughout. The Magus wears a hooded cloak, and honestly is kind of a silent individual. Doesn't say much. Is more of a speaks when spoken to kind of thing, but tends to ride next to Caspian based on how they got to know each other, or how they came to meet. That's all I have for that. Does anybody want to jump in on anything else?
Yes. So Piccolo, as they enter this area, and they're on Harper's Road, he stops for a moment. He sees the ashes of a campfire just off the side of the main path, and he's reminded of the strongest memory that he has of Stormguard. That his people had never really held too much with magic. They didn't dispute it. It just wasn't really a part of their lives. But the rulers of Stormguard had decided that magic had to be dealt with, and his family was offended by this notion, and so they stood for the Magus even without knowing him personally, and as such they came to the evil attention of their rulers, and he's reminded in particular of them all holed up in their castle, and his father and his 7 brothers preparing for a final battle, and his father holding him on the shoulder. He said, "You are the weakest of us, but you're going to have to be very strong. As we've discussed, this is going to be our final stand, and when we can hold no longer, all of this is crushing down into a fiery massacre, such that they won't know for certain whether or not we're all in here. They will depend upon the reputation of our family that we all fell together, and we're sending you out under the darkness of the unknown to help this man for whatever it is that he needs to do."
Jesus. That's intense.
Wow.
Rocks fall, everyone dies.
Now that everyone's far sadder.
Note to self: don't go to Stormguard.
Yeah. Stormguard sucks. Let's keep going.
Terrible.
I'll slide Caspian over to making camp.
Okay.
So Caspian, we've been led to the hills, the Oak Hills, and it's the end of summer. And Caspian knows that the end of summer into the autumn time frame can be a rainy season, and that you have to have proper, even if only for a night, proper housing in the woods where we're staying in, right, is needed. So with the clouds kind of rolling in, unsure if there is a storm or not, Caspian sets about to make camp while everyone goes off and does whatever they're doing. And he finds a particular clearing of saplings, and using what little magic he has left in him, and what little magic he was able to pull from the Magus as a pseudo-apprentice, he kind of takes these saplings and sort of bends them together, and pulls down boughs of trees and then when he gets them in enough of a space that could form a sort of encampment for us to sleep in, he uses that magic to sort of bind them together and grow these saplings interwoven to form knots in these trees, to form a natural hut, as he begins to kind of set this up and make bedding for everybody. And I'm gonna take the tag cunning.
Do you mind if I jump into there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Harp probably would have been out, maybe collecting wood or something to what she thinks is going to be to help make a shelter, or maybe create campfire or just whatever uses the having this amount of wood would be good for. So she kind of walks up to you, sweat on her brow from having collected all these loose like twigs and other things, and she sees you creating this like shelter by bending the trees themselves, and she comes to like a stop and just like drops all of the wood that she's collected in the surrounding hills, and says, I've never seen anyone use magic that wasn't the Magus. How did you do that?
And Caspian kind of looks up, more shocked that she's shocked, and he turns to her and says, what do you mean? Anyone can do it.
Well, the last time I ever saw anyone use magic was to kill people. Why do you think magic is dying in the first place? Why do you think the Magus is going back to the land of magic? Why do you think we're escorting him back in the first place? I don't know what this is, but I sure as hell can't do that.
Well, you can, you just don't know how. And you can use a knife to kill, or you can use a knife to cut flowers. It's a tool, and how you use it. You just have to be taught properly. Everyone has it in them.
She just seems really flustered, and says, I'm not sleeping under that thing tonight. I will make my own shelter. I don't need the help of magic to survive. And she like storms off back into the woods, kicking like the pile of twigs that she dropped at her feet, just scattering them around.
Yeah. And Caspian just calmly shrugs and walks over to pick up the pile and bring it over, more confused that she's so against it, and sort of starts to set up a small fireplace, a little small little fire pit.
Cool. Piccolo had the question of, as we're building these stories together, do we fill out the note card? What you add to the note card are the traits. So Caspian just gave the trait, what was it, cunning?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you picked? Yeah, for himself. So he would add that to his card. It's I would say that the cards and keeping those kind of notes are meant to serve as a reminder of, you said your person was cunning, so you can apply that to like this is how you're slowly building your characters, like personality and what they do through action, that sort of thing. If you want to keep notes about our adventures, be my guest, but the only sort of like rule of thumb is, as we get traits, add those to the note cards.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, and if anyone has questions, feel free to ask. That way everybody watching can also, hear those questions and the answers and learn a little bit more about the game. So Harp stormed off into the wilds, leaving a confused Caspian behind. He was like, "Look, River, what's up?"
River is by firelight, after everybody's kind of set up, after camp has been set up. She's going to pull some treats from her bag that she actually managed to scrounge up before they left Ravensall. And she actually shares them with everybody. And she explains this story behind them, that her mother and father would always make these little goodies and give them out to them on, at around this time of year when the trees were changing. And they would have a little celebration to remember, the family and friends that they might have lost in the past seasons. And they would have these sweets to remember them, and they would usually have them by firelight, as they all are right now, to celebrate and to remember and to kind of look towards the future, to kind of start the next season on a sweeter note, if it were.
That's cool. Harp would have eventually come back. I'm gonna join you in your scene, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Harp would eventually come back because she will have realized that she, despite living in Barleytown, which is probably a little bit more of like an agrarian kind of town, she doesn't know how the hell to set up camp. So she will have come back like at at nightfall or sunset or whatever. But she has eyes on Caspian and makes sure that she keeps a distance from him. But as you're pulling out your like treats and stuff, Harp looks at those and she goes, "What's that?"
They're sweeties. It's some pastry and raisins and sugar and a little bit of spices in there. Used from scraps. The pastry is just from scraps from baking. And they're tasty and they're fun to share.
Well, they look really good. Where'd you get those from? I've never seen anything like that where I'm from.
My family made these, and I ended up, talked my way into one of the kitchens at Ravenshall, and I got them to let me use some of their ingredients and to make some, because it's a comforting thought. It's to remind me of my family at this time of year while we're traveling, because I haven't been this far from home in a very long time.
Yeah, I understand the feeling of wanting to have things that remind you of comfort of where you're from and family. I'd love to try one if you don't mind to share.
Yeah, no, that's why I made them, is to share them with everybody.
Thank you.
Part of the thing. We would share.
Harp kind of laughs nervously and accepts a piece of it from you.
And River would go around and offer them to Piccolo and to Caspian and to the Magus.
So Piccolo gratefully accepts one of these treats, and as he's sitting by the fire, he's reminded that absolutes are a folly, that context is important, that the idea of family is itself a comfort, and that this fire is comforting and it's warm and it's necessary, and that all things in the right amount and with the right intent have their own identity and context, and he is comforted and made happy in exactly the way that River had hoped these treats would affect them.
Caspian takes the treat as well. What does this treat look like, River?
It's a piece of dough that it was rolled flat and then sprinkled with sugar and some dried fruits and some spices like cinnamon and nutmeg, and then rolled up kind of like a cinnamon bun and then cut into like smaller 1 or 2 bite pieces before it was baked.
Okay. So like a tiny fruitcake. Okay.
Like
yeah.
monkey bread.
So it's like monkey bread. Perfect. Yeah. So he takes this and he kind of looks up to you from the firelight and he says, "Thank you. I appreciate that." And you see him break it in half, and then he takes one half and puts it inside of a pocket and takes the other half. And he says, "I have a feeling that we'll need this."
You're welcome. I hope you enjoy it.
Delicious. And he enjoys your monkey bread.
Yay!
Does anyone want to do anything with the Magus before we or go anywhere else in this location before we move on?
Didn't we do the Magus already? Didn't we start with the Magus?
We can go as many rounds as we want until we are done.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Neat. Okay. That's kind of cool. I'm digging this. I'm digging this
Yay.
game.
And we can go fractal.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we'll do some like time thing, right? So on our way to find camp, we're on the Harper's Road. And anyone looking at the Magus, as Nox said, the Magus is very quiet and sort of just rides next to Caspian, not really saying much, with the collar of his cloak sort of pulled up. But anyone paying attention to the man would see a very like wistful kind of look in his eyes. And the camera kind of zooms in into that face pull, and you're taken to where his memories lie. And in his memories, he is walking through Ravenhall for the last time. And he's seeing all of his books and the odds and ends and baubles and things that he walks through. And every once in a while he sort of cracks a wry smile and nods to an inanimate object as he proceeds past. And he visits every single room in the castle as if he's saying goodbye to each of the things that he once owned and once lived with. And that's who he left behind.
Ooh. Cool. All right. I don't have anywhere else I want to go. Does anyone else?
I think I'm all set.
Yeah, Piccolo looks forward to the dawn.
All right, so let's go on to Barley Town. The hospitality of the Barley Lord. So, someone grab the Magus, move him, and tell us about that scene.
Let's do someone else.
Me and Caspian already went.
Yep.
So River, Piccolo, it's up to you now.
It's up to you to move the Magus.
Dang it.
So you're just describing the Magus as he travels with us. Barley Town being the location, the hospitality of the Barley Lord is your prompt, and you can be as in depth or not as you want.
Okay. When the Magus and his kind of motley crew show up to Barley Town, they go and, as is custom, greet the Barley Lord. And it's more of a, hey, we're here sort of thing. We're just gonna stay the day or stay the night as we travel on. Refill some supplies, things like that. And the Magus is a quiet man. So it's not like he's there for much conversation. But he does the requisite greetings, says hi to the right people, and yeah.
Awesome. All right. Anyone else want to jump in or have anything to add?
Yeah, I'll
Nope.
take it.
Yep. Okay.
And so, as at some point during their foray into Barley Town, Magus takes an opportunity to visit Oak Island, and he rows out there, and as he's rowing, he's reminded of his arrival, I guess, into the world of magic, and his mentor, who had often took his young students out to Oak Island in order to measure them, because there are fewer that can control their magic than possess it, and so he was surrounded by in this large boat with 7 or 8 candidates, I suppose you could call them these days, and the mentor would steer the boat just through the force of his will, but with his back to the forward direction that they're going. So the old Magus, as he thought to himself, which is, the old Magus, I suppose. He would look at the apprentices and forbidding them to use any magic to propel themselves. And he would steer the boat without seeing the course because of his connection to the entire environment. And because our Magus was in the back, no one could see him. He decided to use the magic within him to make this work a little bit to his favor. The other apprentices couldn't see what he was doing, so they wouldn't know. But he knew that the old Magus would be able to, but he didn't think they would be able to hide anything from him anyway. So it was a little bit of almost an assertion of rules are important, but not to everyone all the time in the same amount. And the old Magus pretended not to see what he was doing, but he did have a bit of a smile on his face, communicating basically in a sense that yes, the rules are to be considered, but they are your slave and not your master.
That's pretty dope. I think Caspian rides with him as he rows across to Oak Island, but the ride is silent as Caspian kind of sits in the prow of this little boat, watching the island grow closer and closer and closer. And the Magus and Caspian go their separate ways as they're each on this island for their own reasons. And Caspian looks like he's searching for something on the island. But the way he's moving around, it seems as though he knows what he's looking for. It's not so much that he's searching for something that he's unfamiliar with. He's looking for something, and he knows where it's supposed to be. And his brow is furrowed, and he's more and more frustrated every time he can't find it, until it dawns on him that what he's looking for was placed here so many years ago that there's no way it would be in the same place. And so he adjusts his eyes and looks higher until he finds it, and there on a tree about 5 feet high is the name Caspian and a symbol beneath it. And he stops and puts his hand on the tree and sort of just slumps down and slides and puts his back to the tree, adjusts his pack, and pulls out that tome that he had when he first arrived at Ravenhall. And on the front cover of that tome is that same symbol, and he opens it and begins to read quietly aloud as he practices what the Magus has taught him, and that is his happy memory.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Harp's gonna head to the old abbey. Where the hell's my little person? Here we go. Yeah, so as they arrive into town and Barley Lord greets them and offers his hospitality and does, all of the sort of things that he's supposed to do, Caspian and the Magus ride off. Harp gladly parts ways with them, or lets them kind of go do their own thing. And she decides to wander to an older part of town. I would say Barleytown's probably not a particularly new place in general, but the Abbey is one of the older structures. And so she goes there, kind of looks left, kind of looks right. And as she's been walking around Barleytown, she's actually been walking around with a hood up. She keeps her hands underneath the cloak. She, looks left and right, make sure there's nobody watching her as she steps into the Abbey. And as she does, there's nobody here. Barleytown probably has little time for faith or religion, or at least visiting an abbey to practice it, because they're all, kind of busy tending their fields and their animals and sending out their wares to be bought and sold and traded and all that kind of fun stuff. But she knocks on the door of the confessional where the person sits that takes your confession, whatever they're called. She slides the door open, steps in, closes it behind her. The only light coming in is through the like lattice work of that's in the wood of this sort of small chamber. Does somebody want to play the Abbey with me in this scene?
The Abbey, as in a person, or the actual building?
Oh well, what the hell's good? Yeah, duh. What's the name of a person? An abbot?
An abbot would be the male, or an abbess would be the female, depending on who runs it.
Mike, do you want to be the abbot?
Yeah, I'll be an abbot.
No, not you, Mike.
Oh, sorry. Damn.
Not unmade.
Damn.
Mike.
There was the first confusion. Go nuts, Mike.
Ambiguity will destroy us all. Yes, I would love to be the other half of your conversation.
Cool. Yeah, so she the sort of like slide of this pocket door for this confessional, and she folds her hands in her lap, and says, Abbot, I've never been in to see you, but I need someone to talk to.
Well, listening is one of the things that we do well. So please, what's on your mind? What's in your heart?
I feel like I have earned a title, or been given a title that I did not earn.
What's the title?
People around here and in other places have been calling me a hero, and I am not a hero, and I do not deserve that name, that title, or any of the advantages that come with it.
So I would like to hear more, but my first suggestion to you is that the title that you own belongs as much to the people who give it to you as it does to you yourself. So, in general, the decision of whether or not you are worthy of a title is not yours to make. That said, I would hear more of your doubts and the story and the crisis that brings you here.
What if the title given to me by other people is given out of ignorance?
Perhaps you could relieve some of my ignorance by telling me more and specifically. This is a safe place. I fear that I may have already said too much and exposed more than I had hoped to in this conversation. Then perhaps instead of listening, I could talk and you could listen. Titles, especially heroic nature, they can be given after great deeds, or like a pair of shoes too large, you can grow into them. If you feel that you are not a hero now, but could become a hero, then you have an opportunity to grow into those shoes that you find uncomfortable at this point. And so I would encourage you to look toward who you can become rather than judging who you are in a moment.
Thank you. I think. I think I've troubled you long enough.
Well, it was no trouble, but obviously, your path will be your own, and a blessing goes with you as you leave this place. And much like a title, the blessing believes in you, whether you believe in it.
Thank you, Abbott. And she stands up and quickly scurries out. What are Piccolo and River up to?
Well, Piccolo, needs to go to the Lord of Barleytown because he has very little on him and is not in a position to be able to act well due to a lack of weaponry. So I do need a bit of a lord or lady, I suppose. I don't know who's in charge of this place.
What location or scene are you visiting?
Just within Barleytown, the hospitality of the Barley Lord.
All right, we can do that. That's fine.
I didn't know if that was general or if it could be particular.
Typically, you'll pick a location in the story prompt, but we can roll with the actual location. I'm not going to be particular about that. It's our game.
Okay. Fantastic.
And then I'm not going to be a lord or a lady because we just did a scene together. So
that's true.
Amandageddon.
I'm all for Amanda taking charge of this whole town.
Very well. So Piccolo approaches the lady of Barleytown, asks for an audience with one of the guards, and it is due to something that I will reveal in a moment is rushed in. Hello, my lady. I hope that I'm not troubling you too much.
No, of course not. How can I help you, sir?
Okay. You perhaps are familiar with the trouble that the Storm Guard has as a region given against the preservation of magic and the attitude generally of antagonism toward it. And you've perhaps heard of the fate that befell the Stone Clan within Stormguard.
Yes, I've heard reports to my husband about the... sorry.
No worries.
One of my roommates just walked in. I've heard reports that to my husband on the activities and the goings-on of that's been happening in Stormguard.
Okay. So perhaps you have heard that the Stone Clan was completely destroyed for their rejection of the Stormguard's general position of antagonism to magic. What I'm here to tell you with this ring is that one of us still remains. Me. And I was sent by my father to help the Magus to rekindle magic and to forestall its fall. That knowledge, obviously, should you share it, would result in my destruction. And so I trust that with you because your land has a well-deserved reputation for justice and fairness. And now I have a request of you. I left in the middle of the night, under cover of darkness, hoping that me escaping the destruction was hidden. The fact that was part of why they ended that battle in that particular way, was to hide all trace and to let assumptions go toward an idea of our perdition. I could use any armaments or any help that you might have, because I have almost nothing on me because I had to escape with speed. And so I apologize for the imposition, but I beg upon your kindness and your generosity to help me help this fight.
She stands up from her chair and she approaches Piccolo and holds out her hand for his, because she would like to see the ring. She inspects the ring and she does recognize the sigil on it. And she just kind of stares at the ring on your finger for a few moments. And then she looks up, kind of tilts her head to the side, and nods. I believe what you're saying. And I believe that my husband would agree with me on this. Well, I know he would agree with me on this. She gestures one of the guards over, and he comes over, and she's like, "I would like you to the guard." She's like, "I would like you to help this man get armor, weapons to defend himself. Allow him anything he needs from the stores, because as of right now, we do have the extra. We do have the armory." And then she turns back to Piccolo. "I'm sorry about your family. I'm deeply, deeply sorry for what happened to your family. I hope you and your traveling companions in the Magus make it to where you need to go. And make it with all haste and success in your quest."
Thank you, my lady. Your generosity has not only literally saved my life and extended the strength of our party, but I am confident that this act will enter the songs of our adventure, and certainly, if Stone Clan is rebuilt, you will have a square on that quilt. Thank you.
I wish to see that quilt one day. And she nods and gestures for that.
And so Piccolo goes with the guard and tries to find armament that is of high quality, but is not the best that they have remaining, because he wants to respect the gesture. And once outfitted, thanking the guard, he makes his way back to wherever the rest of the group is.
Piccolo, since you just went, why don't you pass it off to somebody else?
Okay. I think I'm going to pass to Harp.
Why don't you pass to River, just because she hasn't been yet?
Oh, did you? Oh,
I have not gone yet.
Sorry.
No,
my
that's
brain
okay.
is terrible. I would like to pass to River. That was a trap, and I fell into it.
We heard you say that the first time. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes. River's actually going to wander off. Piccolo's gone to talk to the lady of the town, and Caspian and the Magus have gone out to Oak Island, and Harp's gone to confessional. But River just kind of wanders around the town. She's got a book in her hand. Every once in a while, she'll stop. She'll read as she's walking, because that's what she does. But she comes across Swine Hill, and she looks around, and she remembers reading something about this place. And there's a little tiny itty-bitty plaque on a tree that's been there for ages. And she reaches into her bag, pulls out another book, and reads about this battle that was fought centuries ago. And as she's reading or rereading about it, it kind of reminds her of stuff that's happening now with magic leaving, with the strife in the Storm Guards, with actually how she ended up coming into to do what she's currently doing, with which is traveling with the Magus. And while you looked at the hill, you wouldn't notice any scars. You wouldn't know that there was a battle here, but thousands of people died from both sides. And River kind of pauses, says a quiet little prayer in her head. And hopes that the battle that was fought here would not be fought again. Because once magic leaves, if magic dies, then River believes that they're kind of hoped, and things will go to shit, basically. So she's hoping that it doesn't happen again.
Sounds about right. You know what I just realized is that Caspian's token is a raven. And the Magus's token is an egg.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do that intentionally?
No, someone else picked the egg. I picked the raven because
like,
I was the raven of Raven Guard, but
I mean, like, did you like have the idea of like your relationship? Was that inspired by the tokens, or just total coincidence?
I think it's total coincidence, but totally like once it was picked, like I think I picked the bird first because I was like, oh, a raven from Ravenhall, that makes sense. And then at the last one that was picked was Mike picked the egg. I think that was cool. But yeah. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, I just noticed.
Yeah,
that
it wasn't on purpose, but it resonates really thickly with me.
It's pretty dope. I like it.
I don't think I have anywhere else I want to visit. Does anyone else have anywhere they want to visit or pop the Magus onto? Magus?
Not that I can think of.
I'm satisfied with this section.
All right.
Sure.
So we've come to a cool spot, which is you'll notice the map. If we travel up and follow the dotted line from Barleytown, moves to a fork. The fork leads us one way. We can either go through Stormguard Mountains or to the Mistwood. And I would say that whoever wants to pick the Magus to describe our journey, we'll plop them down wherever the hell we're going to go. So we'll either hit the mountains or to Mistwood, but either way, our path's going to fork from here.
Okay.
So I think Mike is the only person who hasn't moved, right? Who hasn't moved the Magus to travel between locations?
No, me and Amanda haven't done it yet.
No, Amanda did it for the last one, for Barleytown.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So then it'd be me and Mike haven't moved it yet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mike's
Eminem.
Yeah. I think Mike should do it. I'd be interested to see where you pick.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Magus pulls Piccolo aside, and he says, I'm delighted to have an opportunity and a reason to speak with you, but I do wish that it was under a less tense reason. Words are failing me. I apologize.
You're good.
No, the Magus says that. Anyway, so we have a choice. I believe that we can travel more swiftly if we go through Stormguard. I also know that represents both an echo and a present danger for you. And so I would seek your advice on, do you think your familiarity outweighs the Stormguard's, Alana's familiarity with you? So Piccolo thinks for a moment and he says, well, I don't see how, the Stormguard ruling family would have any particular reason to spend too much time looking at a young soldier from Barleytown. As you can see, my array is indicative of where I'm from, which is Barleytown. And further, as long as I hide my face and perhaps don't go to the castle itself, I think that I can escape higher scrutiny. I have a ring that needs to be stowed, but other than that, I think that I can remain fairly small. And I think though the risk is greater, the knowledge of the terrain that I can provide and the swiftness, I hope, to our destination, I think outweighs that risk. And so I appreciate you seeking out my knowledge. It's nice to be seen as someone who has something to offer. And I think we should go into the mountains and meet up at Castle Stormguard, act as if nothing is particularly wrong, and just march through. Though I don't insist, but that's what I think. And so the Magus contemplates all of that, and he says, "Your courage is noteworthy, but I think that I will take us through the Mistwood, because you are not the only person who might be recognized in this area. Their animosity towards me is, I mean no disrespect, it's bigger than you. So I think distance is probably what we need. So I think that I will take us to Mistwood." And so he does.
I did not see that coming.
No, I didn't either.
Nope.
I mean, I saw it coming. I was like, "Oh yeah, like, he'll clearly go to the woods." And then I was like, then by the whole roleplay thing, I was like, "Oh no,
Right?
he's totally going to Stormguard."
That's what I thought too. I was like,
Nice.
shit, this is good. We're gonna get fucked hard.
Shit's getting real. Shit's getting too
Yeah.
real.
Cool.
That was my last trick. I don't have anything else.
All right, you tapped out. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, Mike,
Need to replenish my mana.
pass your move on to somebody else.
And so I moved the map poorly. I'm going to pass to River.
Okay.
So if you pick foraging, let me know, because that's something we haven't done yet.
I'm assuming there's dice rolls in there.
Mm-hmm. It's like one of the few times we'll roll dice. If you want to pass, you can just pass your turn on to somebody else.
Yeah. I need to think.
Okay. You're gonna pass your turn on to.
I will pass it on to Harp.
Okay. Move my little person over here. Oh shucks. Oh, what do I want to do? Ooh.
This is a hard one.
I know.
So I passed.
I know. I was like, oh, that's fine. It'll be easy because, like, so these they're like story prompts, right? They're meant to get the imagination going. But I'm like, shit, I'm fucked. I don't know which one to pick. I think I'm gonna go with By Moonlight. So they're all traveling together with the Magus. They decide to turn away from Stormguard Mountains, and Harp kind of breathes a sigh of relief over that. That was not a journey she was looking forward to. This is not even really a journey that she is looking forward to be honest. Let alone one traveling through, these terrifying mountains. So she's much happier going through the wood. But her relief is short-lived. As the night comes and the moon rises in the sky, it's a full moon, and it casts its shadows over the tall trees of the Mistwood, creating these like long shadows. And at this point, Harp is tired, just a normal level of exhaustion from traveling, and traveling by horse isn't super uncomfortable, so her butt is kind of sore. And as she's watching these long shadows creep over the grass and over her traveling companions, she is transported back to a familiar vision, one that she had in Ravenfall. And that is again of the fallen bodies of hundreds of men and women in fighting gear, weapons in their, either held loosely in the dead hands of these corpses. And the tall trees which tower over the group by feet, X amount of feet, they're just big trees, remind her of the figures that in that vision stood on the horizon, backlit, only their silhouettes are visible in the same full moon kind of night that everyone is experiencing this evening. And the only characteristic unique and visible to these figures is the occasional swirling of some sort of energy around their hands. And Harp's horse stops, as it can kind of feel the anxious energy kind of coming off of her, and she feels her heart race. At this point, she's not able to distinguish the trees from the vision, and she looks around at the rest of her traveling companions, Caspian, Piccolo, River, and the Magus, and she just kind of like leans her head down and starts to hyperventilate. and just does that.
So I think I'm going to jump into your scene. So as you're in this vision, hyperventilating, reliving past trauma, a voice kind of drifts in, and at first it's probably like one of those like far away where like everything's kind of muted, but eventually it comes into sharp clarity and the words hit. And at this time, Caspian has pulled his horse alongside yours, and he looks over to you and he seems genuinely concerned. And the words that finally hit and resonate are, "Where does your fear take you?"
Harp is just snaps out and like jumps, nearly almost falling off of the horse, kind of scrambles onto the reins, and in kind of an embarrassing display, is almost like hugging the neck of the horse just to keep attached. She kind of rights herself and adjusts her clothes. What do you? I'm just tired. What do you fear? What do you mean? Where does it take me? I'm here, right here with you. I don't understand.
No, you're not. You're miles away. It's not the forest. It's not the trees. It's not the shadows and the mist and the fainting light. You're terrified. You're shaking like a leaf. Why? Why are you here?
You wouldn't understand.
No, I wouldn't. That's why I'm asking. Why are you here?
And she kind of just stares forward, clearly hesitant to talk about any of this. And her jaw is kind of clenched, and her eyes are darting back and forth in some kind of internal conflict that she's trying to work through. And her shoulders just kind of like sag, and she looks down, almost like a hunch. Your kind have not been kind to me or my people. And you hear a cat in the distance. Random forest cat. Your kind have not been kind to my people. I have seen what you can do. I have seen the mayhem that you can cause. I don't even know how to put into words the things that I have seen, or what it means to me to be traveling with you in this damned Magus, or why I was even brought into this in the first place. And she looks up and like looks at you like straight dead in the eyes, probably for the first time in the whole trip, because otherwise she's been like avoiding you.
Yeah. You would see genuine confusion. He looks to you and he says, You say our kind like we're all one and the same. If you're from a town, does that make you the same as everyone in that town? Do you have the same passions, the same desires, the same ambitions as every single person in that town?
Her eyebrows, or her brow furrows and her eyes narrow. She responds, I have things in common with the people that I came from, the town that I came from. We all share a unified goal in survival and wanting the best for all of us. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know if I understand what point you're really trying to get at. But I can tell you that I bore witness to people like you that wield the elements unnaturally, that have killed hundreds. I have stood, my feet, these shoes that I wear right now, have stood in the blood of those fallen people. I have watched their families mourn. I hope magic does die. And I hope you lose all of it. And I hope the Magus never makes it to the land of magic.
And he kind of looks over to you and says, and in those wars, in those combats, were there men with swords and men in armor?
Of course. We have to defend ourselves.
And yet you show no fear of Piccolo. A man with a blade can kill just as easy.
I don't... What? And she's, like, very flustered. Like, she knows you made a good point, but she is not gonna fucking own to that shit.
Well, whether you understand it or not, you're here for a reason. I hope you find it. And he slowly starts to canter off, kind of leaving you in that muddled place.
Yeah, she's just, like, muttering to herself, like, under her breath, like, who the fuck does he think he is? He doesn't know shit. And just, like, she now takes the rear of the group, slowly follows along. But, yeah, she's not too happy about how that exchange went.
Sweet.
You're a real prince, Caspian.
Solid pun.
Okay, I'm gonna pass my turn on to I'm gonna give it to River, actually. Yeah.
Okay. I think this one or that one? Indecisive. I will go to the Trail of the Rangers. As they travel, and then make sure I'm not muted. As they travel, and the trees and the shadows start to lengthen, and it's getting dark, and this mist starts to roll in as they're just kind of plodding along on their horses. And River just kind of looks around, and they're not really near any body of water that would usually cause something like this. And there's no clouds in the sky. So River's just kind of looks around, and she kind of catches up to Piccolo, and she's like, "Does any of this make sense to you?"
I'm not sure what this you mean. I don't mean to be a riddle, but I'm not sure what you mean.
Oh, sorry, the mist.
Oh,
It's weird, or maybe it's just me. I'm not sure.
it's it's weird. To me, it's familiar because we're not far from where I'm from. But yeah, it's heavy. It's said that mist carries and holds into this land because of the land weeping for all of the cruelty and struggle and confrontation that is passed through this portion of land. It's somewhat ironic because these are simply a way to get from one place to another place. It's a crossroads. It's not a place to be, but a place to go through. And yet control of it has caused people to act in ways that are inelegant. So I'm impressed with you that you feel that it's touched you. I think it speaks well to your ability both to observe and to see, and I'm hopeful that perception will be of further help to us as we reach the end of our path. And I hope that I haven't spoken completely past what you were asking, but I was a little bit carried away by the hidden depth of that question as I felt it.
People are often inelegant creatures, I've noticed, just in general. But in Estalia, we're near the ocean, so I've seen mist. But yes, like you said, this is heavy. It's not what I'm used to. But thank you. I appreciate your candor with what has happened to here and what this land is, because this is simply something I'm not used to.
Well, it will perhaps make you stronger for what comes ahead. It's my hope that we are becoming more fully who we are to be as we ascend, as we reach what our destiny is here at the end of the path.
Oh, I'm just a scholar. I just read books.
No one's.
I have no destiny other than that.
Well, it's not for me to say, but I'm impressed and delighted to be in this company, you included.
As am I. Thank you, sir. And
Clomp, 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 clomp,
on
So,
horses.
if I may be so bold, I would like to grab the tiger by the tail and do a bit of foraging.
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay. So how does that work?
So why the hell isn't this working? Sorry, I was futzing with Roll20 stuff. So I'm gonna pull the instructions up real quick, but I think it's pretty damn straightforward. So you will roll a d6,
Okay.
right? Because you got 6 things there.
Yeah.
Do you know how to roll it in Roll20?
All right, then I will throw my care into the fates.
Oh yeah, you figured out how to roll. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is called a peril. It's another story prompt, but it's specifically some kind of perilous thing. So you've gone out foraging, and the lesson you teach is where you are wrong, and that's pretty. But generally there's going to be some sort of perilous thing that happens or that you encounter. using those story prompts.
So I have to describe something that we are wrong about?
So it's the lesson you teach is the general story prompt for that for the foraging thing. And then it's something where you are wrong. It's just like the rest of it, whatever it means to your heart.
Okay.
And if you want some, again, as a friendly reminder, if you want someone else to play a part in your scene, or if you want to jump into his scene, feel free to do that.
I was not prepared for this. So I suppose I'd like to pull. No, let's pull the Magus in.
Okay. So you and the Magus go foraging then? Is that what's going on?
Yeah. So I would like for someone to inhabit the Magus for this.
Ooh.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
So do we have a volunteer, or should I pick randomly?
Rock, paper, scissors.
We didn't hear you unmade. I don't know if you're muted or not.
Oh, I said I vote Nox.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to like mentally balance out like spotlight time, but like I feel like we've all had creases.
I think one we've been a little Caspian light, and also it seems to me that he's done the best job of really fleshing out and inhabiting who Vegas is. So if you're down with it,
yeah,
I would love to use you as the Magus
for sure.
And so as they're looking for food to make sure that they are, as they're traveling on their stomachs, that those stomachs are full, Piccolo he stops because he thinks he hears something heavy coming through the brush, and puts his arm out to stop the Magus, who doesn't appear to be as affected as Piccolo does, and he defensively starts to grab for his sword, and then sees that this porcupine, a small little porcupine, not good to eat but not threatening, comes through there, and he says, "Oh, I that's not what I was expecting to come out of there."
The Magus looks down to you and he says, "You seem on edge." And it's probably one of the first times he's spoken before, right? But he speaks very, seldomly, unless needs to. But since you kind of grabbed him in a protective manner, he looks down to you and sees that you're clearly agitated by the slightest noise kind of made you jump. And he looks down to you and says, "You seem to be on edge."
Yes. It's bigger than that. Literally bigger than the porcupine. I thought I knew why we were going to back to the root of the magic to rekindle it, but I'm not sure that that's the case anymore. And I don't know if I'm right, and I don't know what I'm trying to be right about. Are we doing the right thing? Is this worth what we're trying to do? I feel as if I'm unmoored, like I'm lost.
He looks down and has like one of those knowing grandpa smiles, right? He looks down to you and kind of smiles and says, "The journey isn't right or wrong. The journey must happen. It has happened before. I'm not the first. And once we get there is when the choice will be made. You began your quest thinking we were rekindling magic. Young Harp began her quest hoping to end it. Caspian accompanies me hoping to be the next. And River has just stumbled into this. She's along for a journey of her own growth. You are moored. Once you understand that all of you are right and all of you are wrong, it'll make things easier. When we get to the beginning or to the end of magic, that's when we decide what happens. Whether it comes back or whether it goes away. I'm just here to shepherd you.
So the only thing that I understand from this, I think, is to let go and to just keep walking or keep riding as long as our horses stay with us. And then okay, I'll try not to figure this out before all the pieces of the puzzle have arrived. Thank you.
And he sort of releases his hand from your shoulder, and he kind of nods to you, and he says, "Now about that porcupine."
They're not good eating.
Fair. Oh man, that was a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, I'm gonna move Caspian. I think I'm the last one to go. I think Caspian, I'm gonna try my hand at foraging as well. He sort of follows the Magus when he goes places, so I think he's gonna also be in the forest somewhere. So I'm gonna roll that d6. Hit. Okay, cool. So the lesson I teach, Bounty of the Forest. So while Piccolo and the Magus are off not really finding much of anything and being startled by Porcupine, Caspian has better luck in the area of flora. So he has found mushrooms and berries and fruits and things you can eat off the land without having to actually have killed anything, because looking at him, he doesn't look like he probably could. But the lesson he teaches about the bounty of the forest is...
What's the peril?
Oh, the peril.
Mm-hmm. It's gotta be a little perilous.
Man.
Have a little danger in there. Maybe you trip and skin your knee. I don't know.
So, okay. Man, peril. I wasn't ready for peril. I had everything else good to go.
It's too perilous.
It's too perilous, yeah.
There might be a poison berry.
I think...
Or mushrooms.
I think the peril is far more subtle than, like, an actual aggressor. I think the peril is Harp.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, based on the last time we camped and Harp's reservations and indignation to deal with anything that Caspian or the Magus do, and knowing how difficult it can be to find, or discovering how difficult it can be to find food and shelter in this mistwood, yeah, her indignation is the peril for herself, I think. And when Caspian returns to, it's a very, very small scene, when Caspian returns to camp laden with goods, right, laden with the bounty of the earth, he sort of goes to camp, puts everything down, makes a bowl or makes a basket, a handkerchief full of stuff, and he holds the handkerchief in a way that if you drop it, it will open up, and wherever Harp is sitting, assumedly away from Caspian, he sort of drops the satchel in front of her, and without a word, he turns on his heel and walks back, knowing that she probably won't eat it, and definitely won't talk to him anymore. But when you kind of finally cast your eyes down, you see that on top of the bundle of, let's call it, mushrooms, is a necklace, and you've seen the thong of the necklace before on Caspian's neck, and the coin at the center of it is a coin, an old worn coin that you recognize immediately as someone who lived in Barleytown, and he sort of drops it on the yeah.
Nice. 20 points to Gryffindor.
Yeah, I looked down at that I actually, it takes me a while. Like I watch you walk away, kind of eyes narrowed, like, and eventually, like, what is this bullshit he's trying to pull? And I look down, and I see that necklace, and my eyes just go wide, and I take this deep inhale, and I go to pick up the necklace. I honestly don't know what to make of it. I can't tell if this is a sign of friendship, if this is a confirmation that he's obtained this by killing someone, if this was found in the battlefields surrounding Barleytown, some of which Astalia has even read about in her history books, as if this was some like far-flung fairy tale. Astalia reads about it in a book, but Harp has lived through some of it, or knows people have been impacted by it personally. So her hands kind of curl around it, and she just grabs it, and she sticks it in a pocket. She doesn't follow after Caspian or anything like that. She sits and thinks about what this means, and does she need to do something about it? Is this a call to action?
Interesting. Cool. I like it.
That was awesome.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. I think that's it for Mistwood. Unless anyone has anywhere else to go.
No, I'm exhausted.
Them porcupines, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay. I guess we move on to the Hall of the Woods.
Yeah.
Last time I played this, me and the other person I was playing with this 2-player game, we went to Stormguard Mountains. Didn't get any further than that, unfortunately. But it's really cool to like be able to explore these other places.
This is the curse. You get halfway through the map and that's it.
Oh my god.
Are we even halfway through?
No.
Oh my god.
There's actually a backside to this.
Oh jeez.
Backside. And there are islands that eventually you travel through in the middle of the map.
That's
and
awesome.
The islands in the physical version, I think Roll20 it works like this too, is actually a deck of cards that you just randomly put out. So every time you play through, that part is kind of randomized.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Okay, so moving on to Hall of the Woods, the Hospitality of the Grey Rangers, which sounds so cool.
It does sound cool.
I don't think I've been to Magus in a while, so I'm gonna grab this one.
Go for it.
I don't have no idea what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm gonna go for it. Hospitality of the Grey Rangers. So again, the party finds themselves on horseback. Their packs full with some of the fruits and other fungus that are edible as a part of the Mistwood, and as they are traveling, they're traveling through the Mistwood, which starts out as this sort of sparse collection of trees. And as you enter into it, it gets more and more dense. So at this point, the party has actually entered into a very dense section of the wood. And any sort of visible path has disappeared. So in order to travel through it, you're having to push back like low-hanging branches and various other brush. And the Magus at some points, just to make traveling the party more easier, you'll occasionally see him kind of put his hand out, his fingers sort of wave in the air, and you'll just watch, similar to what Caspian did to make camp that one evening. You'll just watch as the forest kind of opens up to the party, and this clearly makes Harp very uncomfortable. But yeah, you'll just see it'll just kind of open up, and eventually they are greeted by a tall, thin athletically built individual, gray skin, dark black hair pulled back into a braid. Their features their features are indistinguishable as far as like gender is concerned. They have fine features, could be male, could be female, you can't really tell. And when this person begins to speak, it's a similar thing. You can't tell this person is male or female. They have very narrow eyes, completely pitch black, and they wear leather armors with a bow slung on their back, a short sword at their side, and a dagger on the other hip. And they just walk out of the forest as if they are walking through a completely clear area, no trouble at all. This gray individual goes to reach for their sword, but as soon as their eyes kind of scan over the group and land on the Magus, this smile creeps over them. And it's kind of a creepy smile. This is like already sort of a very strange individual. And their smile, maybe is warm amongst people like them, but to anyone else is very unusual. Some would say they have an unnerving presence. But they call out, Magus, it's so good to see you. I didn't know if we would find you through our way again. Traveling through these woods is difficult and trying, and it's been so long since we last spoke. I'd love to hear about your adventures, where you're currently now, what the state of magic is today. We felt that here as well, that something is different, something has changed. I don't know who your traveling companions are, but anyone that travels with the Magus is a friend of them, is a friend of ours. So please follow me. I will guide you to our hall, and we would love to dine with you, and spend an evening with you. This is actually perfect timing. It's right after the full moon, and this is when we engage in, as you well know, some of our ancient rites. So please follow me and I'll guide you. And the ranger turns and the Magus indicates to the rest of the group, come, this is a long dear friend of mine and I am very familiar with the Grey Rangers. Let us go and stay with them for the evening. And guides the rest of the party towards the Hall of the Woods.
Sweet. I think I'm gonna take Caspian and pull him to away from the Magus, and he's gonna go to the Spirit Lake. Yeah. So I get an interesting feeling from your description of these Grey Rangers and their ancient rites. So the Spirit Lake is what the Rangers teach you, and the lake itself is it's one of those where it's like it's all grass and then all of a sudden it just dips down. But when Caspian walks up to it, it dips down and it's a dry lake. There is no water there, and the camera kind of pans up and you're in that like weird clearing of pines, right? And the moonlight kind of shines down in the clearing, and he looks in and he just kind of looks around, and there are offerings around the edge of the lake, and he kind of paces in between them, and he looks at each one and ponders what the meaning of the offering is, or what they could be offering it for, because to him it seems like a dead lake with nothing in it, and it doesn't seem to make sense. And he understands that magic in general doesn't make sense, but he's been able to get a few grasps of what it could mean, and this one is sort of plaguing him. And I'm gonna pull Mike in. Mike, I'm gonna pull you in as a Grey Ranger.
Okay.
And he's he's basically looking around at these offerings and sacrifices and that kind of thing. And while he's in quiet contemplation, trying to muddle through what these rites and rituals could mean, he hears the ranger like right next to him just kind of appear there, and his eyes snap over, and he sees the ranger and looks startled and confused.
So I apologize if I startled you. We're used to both walking quietly and still being heard because we're always trying to listen for the slightest thing. So we don't do as well with outsiders as we would like, perhaps. What do you feel when you look at this water?
I'm confused. I don't see water. It appears to be an empty lake. The Magus told me that there was a spiritual place, or a place of a wellspring of magic that you referred to as the Spirit Lake, and I was hoping to see it. And what I see before me is dirt and mud. There is no water here. What is this?
This is the end of all things. This is the ultimate destiny for all of us. Your journey, I don't know the specifics of, but eventually it will end. There will be an outcome. Magic will be preserved, or it will be snuffed out. But there was a time before magic, and there will be a time after magic, and then there will be a time of magic again. Decay, ruination, all things have an end, but that end isn't final. The spirit of this lake is the Spirit Lake itself. The lake is aware of its own end and its own reburgeoning forth. There's a winter of a sort that's occurring here that even within our town, and certainly within the rest of the land, is not yet present. It's out of sync with this particular land, but it's perhaps a message to us that, and to you in particular, that you shouldn't give up what you're trying to do, but you also shouldn't try to figure out in advance what it is. Look upon this, see that this is a future that is not of your present, and realize that everything is all things at once.
He smiles and bends down to a food. There's like a sacrifice of food. It seems to be fruit in nature or some kind of seeded plant. And he reaches down to this molded, rotted fruit, and he digs his fingers into this fruit and pulls something out. And then reaches down with his other hand and grabs like a clump of dirt. And you see him kind of mash the two together. And rising up to his full height again, he kind of smiles and looks to the ranger and says, I think I understand. And he places his empty hand out and he says, do you mind? Trying to take the ranger's hand.
Please.
So
he extends.
So he grasps the ranger's hand, and Caspian's eyes kind of close, and like the wind tussles his hair, as you can, the ranger would be able to sense the magic coursing into his other hand that has this ball of dirt in it. And he finally releases the ranger's hand and opens his eyes and presses the dirt ball together again and throws it into the lake. And you see it sort of hit and just sort of splatter into the mud. And then from where the ball landed, you see a sprout of some sort of plant begin to grow. And he says, that's the future I would like.
May it rise from the ground to meet you. The ranger then reaches into his bag, and he pulls something out and gestures to Caspian to hold his palm out.
And he does
and he puts his hand over and opens it up, and it appears to be a seed, a large seed that's transparent, and at Caspian's glance he says, "This is a plant. This is the seed of a plant that will be water. You should put this in your coat."
And he kind of looks at him and, like, confused. There's a mix of, like, confusion and, like, taken abackness. And he just sort of nods, not sure what to say. And he opens his coat and he places it inside of the coat and says, "Thank you."
You're quite welcome, and I wish you the best journey to your path. Luck is unnecessary, but I hope that you do what you're called to do.
And he sort of just turns back to the lake and crosses his hands in front of him and just watches, having some kind of understanding of why the offerings are now there.
Nice.
Dope. That was cool.
Yeah.
I was like,
That-
ooh.
Yeah.
That fruit and dirt was a nice mashup.
Thank you. I'm gonna throw it to River.
Okay. Let's see. Um. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to the hall. And Nox, can I get you to play a ranger
Of course.
for me? Cool. So they've arrived and everybody's kind of scattered and doing their own thing. River's in the main hall of the Rangers, and she's looking at what little art they have up on the walls. Seems to be a lot of murals and things like that, and even some like woven pieces. And as she wanders around, she comes across a ranger, and she's kind of blunt, and she asks, "Why do you stay here? Why this spot?"
The ranger is in the process of whittling a piece of wood with their dagger. And the shape of it is unfamiliar to you. It definitely looks to be some kind of animal, but nothing you would have seen in your travels.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible you read it in a book or something, but nothing you would have actually seen with your own eyes. And the ranger looks up, and they have the same gray skin as the one that you encountered in the forest. The same kind of dark hair and dark eyes. Their hairstyle is different. Their armor is different, kind of like those basic details. But again, it's tough to tell. Is this person male or female or none of the above? Who are these people? And they look up at you, and the only reason you can tell they're even acknowledging you is because their head's facing you, since they don't have any like discernible eyes, like a pupil or an iris or anything. It's just all straight pitch black. And again, mouth opens and that kind of weird, disconcerting smile. You must be new here.
Yes. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be quite as rude as I may have seemed. I ask questions. I like learning things. And
what's
why
your
here?
What's your name, young scholar?
River. My name is River.
Well, River, welcome to the Hall of the Woods. It's where we stay. We are, and the ranger kind of looks away for a moment and trying to decide, how they're going to explain this, before looking back at you. And they kind of put their thing down and lean back a little bit and kind of get comfortable. We stay because we were called to this place. We were born here. We will die here. We are not really meant to venture from this place. It gives us life, and we in turn offer protection. This place represents a crossroads for some people between life and death, spirituality and modernity, between advancements in understanding and the desperate clinging on to what is familiar and safe. And so we stay here to keep watch over these crossroads. We've also partnered with the Magus in the past over various things. And the Magus in turn offers us, or has offered us, additional forms of protection to keep us and this place safe. Does that answer your question, young scholar?
Yes. Yeah, it does. Do any of your people leave? Or do they all just stay here?
I can't say that some of the Grey Rangers haven't tried to leave, but we are not long for the world outside of this place. And our ability to survive is greatly diminished as soon as we leave. Not everyone takes kindly to us. We have a duty and a function to serve here in this place.
Oh. So your world is small, then. It's bordered by the woods. You can't leave.
The ranger kind of tilts their head back and laughs a little bit. I suppose to someone of your breed would think that our world is small. I look at you and I think your world is small. Our world is huge. It is immeasurable. We can travel distances that you will be lucky to travel an entire lifetime. Again, we sit on a crossroads here. And I understand that may be difficult to grasp for one with a mind such as your own, but I promise that our world is not small at all.
River looks pensive, I guess, and she nods and offers her thanks to the ranger. Before she'll find a quiet corner, and whether there's a place to sit or not, but she'll just sit down, could be on the floor, and she pulls out some paper and a quill, and she just starts writing, and basically transcribing word for word what she was told, both sides of the conversation.
Yeah, the ranger doesn't say anything when you leave, but they do kind of let out a small chuckle at your confusion. They find it amusing.
Thank you. And then, I guess, has that been everybody? Is there anybody else? Oh, wait.
Nox and Mike haven't actually gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Their tokens were moved, so I forgot.
Pass that ish along.
I'm past that. I'll go for Piccolo.
Oh. So Piccolo's been processing a lot of thoughts and plans, even though the Magus has told him that maybe he should not do that. And so what he's worried about right now is how this small party can go through this large, in parts unfriendly land and not lose their ability to describe their own fate. And so he decides to go to the hunting grounds to contemplate how they can stay hidden, how they can approach unseen. And so he listens to the wind and sees what it has to say. And he's listening so hard that he doesn't see what's in front of him, and he falls into a pit. And so as he falls, he goes onto and so there's it's a pit that's designed to capture, and so there are spikes, and he avoids almost all of the spikes. But one does find just the side of his calf as he lands, and so it doesn't puncture him, but it does sort of slice along the side. As he's sitting there, again reminded that instead of trying to figure out what's going to happen, he should just pay attention to the moment. He's grateful that this reminder lesson was relatively inexpensive to him, and he is resolved that what he needs to do is focus on each moment and not try to plan, because there are people in the group that are smarter than him, that are wiser than him, and so he can best help the group by helping himself and by being present in the moment rather than trying to predict.
Cool. So you get the trait wounded. Get to add that to your little note card.
Yes.
I like it. I think that leaves you, Nox.
Oh, shucks. I'll move this over here so I can keep track of things. Oh, geez Louise, where do I want to go?
I know where I vote you go.
Where?
The disturbing ritual.
I know. Oh, crap. Oh, no, everyone's nodding. Okay, that means that I'm gonna ask someone to play a ranger too. Someone who hasn't played a ranger before.
There's only one of us who hasn't been a ranger yet.
That's two of us. I think me and Amanda haven't been one yet.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna mute myself.
You're fine.
Mr. Caspian, you want to be a ranger?
Sure.
Ranger-oo?
Sure.
Just because I was a ranger with Amanda a second ago.
Yeah.
Switch it up. Okay. Oh, fudge monkeys. This feels so hard. This one. Yeah. So Harp Harp is made uncomfortable by these Grey Rangers just because that's, they're a little unusual. She's never encountered anything like this before. But she can kind of respect that they seem to be able-bodied warriors. They carry weapons, they seem fit, they move through the forest effortlessly. And so a small part of her feels kind of safe, but that they have this sort of, what's the word? They seem friendly with the Magus also makes her uncomfortable, so she's kind of walking this line between feeling okay and feeling unease. So she decides to just get away from it all so she can clear her head. She still has that coin that Caspian, dropped at her feet, without explanation. And so she takes off into the woods. Just a short walk. She doesn't intend to walk far. She's not familiar with this. She doesn't want to get lost. She doesn't know if the Grey Rangers would kill her if she was traveling by herself. She's trying to, exercise some caution here. But she does find that she gets lost like that. Like she's walking, decides to turn around just to kind of get a sense of where she's come from, and finds that immediately the forest is unfamiliar and strange, and it starts to kind of bring her back to that moment in the mistwood with the shadows of the trees looming over her, and so she kind of clutches at her chest, takes a deep breath so she can keep herself calm, and just decides to pick a direction and go very slowly. And it doesn't take a long time before she arrives at this sort of circular clearing. There are, in the middle of this clearing, in a circle as well, petrified husks of trees. They don't have any leaves. It looks almost like they've been struck by lightning. They also have another strange characteristic, which is it almost looks like, when you go to places and they've got like the tables or bars made out of like a big old piece, like a big old plank of a tree, and it's all like given like a nice shiny finish. Somehow these trees have that, and they actually reflect sunlight or moonlight or starlight or anything. And in the middle of this circle are two rangers. They are wearing black flowing robes, buckled at the chest area, almost kind of Greek looking. Mm-hmm. And one of them is wielding an ornamental blade, and the other one is wielding a shield. And at their feet is the disemboweled corpse of another ranger, but wearing a mask made out of wood, with this sort of face contorted in a strange expression, and it has 3 horns coming out of it. And the mask itself is not painted, but does appear to be painted with blood. And on the edge of one of the blades is like blood kind of dripping onto this mask just a little bit. And then I'll hand it over to you.
I was just gonna sit here and listen. I was gonna sit here and listen. Cool. So I think what might have sort of drawn Harp in this direction is the rhythmic chanting that is very like low and baritone, and it sort of it's those like long drawn out, like almost like the sound of a didgeridoo, where it almost syncs up with her hyperventilating breathing until she's kind of matching it, and that sort of subconsciously pulled her in this direction. And she stares on this macabre scene of ritualistic sacrifice, is what it looks like, as blood drips from the knife onto this mask and sort of hits it and sort of spills. And you can see that it's been there for a while, obviously, since the mask is completely covered in it. You see the dagger is wiped clean, and then is placed atop the mask to sort of just kind of rock there. And the gray ranger that was holding the knife sort of reaches down, and it's probably at that point that it jars Harp enough that she's no longer watching with idle curiosity as to what she just stumbled in on, but goes from that to disgusted as this squelching sound of hands inside flesh kind of break the silence, and you see the ranger lift his hands and is now holding blood essentially in his hands, and he rises, and as he's rising, the shielded ranger, kind of bends down, removes the shield off of him, and places it over the open chest cavity of the other ranger. And your eyes kind of track and follow the ranger with blood in his hands towards one of these petrified, calcified, reflective trees. And it's probably that's the first time you notice that the inner ring of these trees are carved out into like a bas-relief, like Petra. And the inner ring is, at first glance, you think it's the same gods that you pray to, but upon closer inspection, they seem to be, you might think bastardizations of those, but the Grey Rangers would tell you otherwise, that your gods are the bastardization of these ancient gods. And the first one takes the blood and sort of places it on the head of this god and, massages it down and coats this statue in the blood of the sacrifice. And then he returns, the shield is removed, and then the shield is placed back, and he moves to the second one. And the whole thing is done in silence, except for that squelching noise and that guttural baritone chanting that continues. And it appears as though they're praying to the ancient gods of the land and the forest. And this goes on for hours, as it takes to coat a tree in the blood of a sacrificed person by hand. And you just kind of stand there and watch this macabre scene until you either can't or break the silence yourself.
Harp actually sits on the ground, crisscross applesauce style, and just puts her hands in her lap, and she starts to slowly rock back and forth and just hums along and watches the whole thing take place. Armageddon said that he broke Harp. Amandageddon, shit, whatever.
Yep. So I think the ritual concludes after hours. It's one of those things where you're so enraptured in this display that you lose track of time until you realize that they're completed. And you see that everything is cleaned off, and the shield is placed emblazoned side down, and the corpse is placed on the shield, and the dagger is closed in the person's hands and held to the chest cavity, and the two rangers lift the ends of the shield and carry this body back. And then that's when they notice you, and the first ranger looks down, and you can see his pupilless eyes kind of looking, you see his whole head looking down at you, and you feel his pupilless eyes kind of staring into you. And he nods in a way that kind of symbolizes your welcome as he walks past you with this body. Because to them, you saw something spiritual, and, not everyone gets to see that. So you're welcome for being allowed to stay there. But how you interpret that is entirely up to Harp.
She'll sit there for a bit. kind of just processing it all and feeling really confused about why she's not disturbed by it. And she will get up wordlessly, head back towards where the rangers are providing them accommodations. The forest opens up to her, and she finds that moving through the woods has suddenly become much easier than it was when they first entered and where they struggled. And she finds that sometimes it appears that the branches move out of her way instead of she having to push them aside.
I like it.
Yeah. And she just heads back.
Nice. Cool. Is that the end of this scene?
It is for me.
Is that the end of this whole Hall of the Woods as well?
That's up to the rest of the gangaroo.
I think you were the last person. You guys have anything else to go?
No, I'm satisfied with this scene.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. So we just hit time, and I feel like that scene wrapping up is a great spot to end this. So just so you guys in chat know who are still lingering on and watching this craziness unfold, I have asked everyone to come back either next month or in the future to continue this because this was dope as hell and I'm having a blast. And it's a great, chill, fun way to do some improv role-playing. So you will see this again in the future. How soon? Not sure, but you definitely will see it again. So yeah, let's go around, do our introductions, get your thoughts and feelings on this game and this session, and then we'll take a short break and get our next crew in here for some City of Mist. So we'll start with Amanda. You said this was your first time doing any streamed role-playing, right? And your first time playing this. So who are you, where can we find you, and what did you think of this game?
I'm Amanda, or Amandageddon. That's what it says on my hockey jersey, and is also my Twitter handle. This was really cool. I wasn't sure how the whole improv thing would work with me, because it's, again, my first time doing it, and I haven't been really role-playing very long. Like, I just started playing D&D recently, so... but, yeah, no, it was really cool. I'm really looking forward to continuing this.
Sweet. I like it. We'll go over to Mike. You come from a Numenera background, you said, and I know Numenera is very improv-heavy as well. So who are you, where can we find you, and what did you think of Fall of Magic?
All right, so my name is Mike Lehman. I'm not findable yet, but I will be next time. I was literally woken up this morning and asked if I wanted to do this, and Sleepy Mike said, "Sure, yeah." I thought this was extraordinary. It was really a tapestry. It seemed like none of us really had any. Each of us had threads. And we were able to coordinate and really reinforce some really cool thematic ideas, some really nice overlapping character development. It was extraordinary. I'm jazzed. I cannot wait to do this again. So, I'm super pleased.
I am much the same. Again, this is the second game this stream where we have people who don't normally know each other or roleplay together just sort of slammed in, and the party just boop, it happens, and it's been dope. So Nox, who are you? Where can we find you? And what did you think of this session?
I go by Nox on the internet. That should be like a tagline at this point. You can find me on Twitter, Noxnoctua. I like to weasel my way into as many role-playing games as I can. And I will be starting my own Dungeon World streamed game, which will be my first time doing that, so I'm super excited about that. I love the shit out of this game. I rarely get to play it enough, so I thought this was a blast. I loved watching or experiencing people getting more comfortable with playing this and asking people to join their scenes, because I feel like that's really like where this game shines.
Yeah.
So that was... that just like made my that I felt so much love for that, and seeing people in the chat getting excited about this game. That was kind of my intent in wanting to stream this, is to give this game more exposure, so I can get so it can be played more. It's an awesome game. It's great for people that don't role play. It's great for people that don't play tabletop games because it is so open ended.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I had a blast with this. I didn't, like I said, I learned about this game 2 days ago, I think, and I didn't really have a full grasp of what the hell it could be. But it was dope, first of all. Second of all, I love improv-based games. I myself am an improv-based DM, and I prepared like maybe 10 minutes of notes before I run a 3-hour session. So this was cool. And I liked how, I was talking about it in chat, I liked how, like, the story, there isn't one, right? So, like, the story is the Magus has to go from A to B. Like, that's the whole story. And now we have, like, there's a secret organization in Stormguard who are now dead, and now Piccolo's the last one, and there's people trying to kill them because they like the Magus, and then there's, like, a mage versus regular people war, and then, like, there's all these, like, kind of thing, and all this happened in the last 2.5 to 45 minutes, where we just made this up right now, and then just started incorporating it into each different new scene, which I thought was pretty dope. I like how improv can just spring and it just overflows more and more the more you do it. So that's pretty dope. So I am excited to play this again. I will definitely be scheduling this, if not the next 12-hour stream, the following one with these same people to get this rolling again, because this was fun. And I want to see this conclude. So yeah, thank you guys for playing. Chat, thank you guys for experiencing this whole thing with us, and for those donations and all that fun stuff. So we're going to get the hell out of here. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back in for some more 6 and 20 Metropolis one-shots. We get some returning adventurers. And while we are waiting to return, I'll remind you guys that we are doing a giveaway right now. Enter to win a copy of the new City of Mist core book, which is 500-page tome of lore and rules and awesomeness. So definitely go check that out.
It's a book that River would love.
Yeah, it really is. And with that, guys, bye-bye for now.
Hey, thanks very much.